Good. Stop. Kick me now. Kick me now. Leave. Yeah, I'm Is this how we're gonna start up? Is this how we can start up the stream right now? Why are you so scared like that? Why are you so scared? Yay! I'm live right now. I ain't changing my clothes. I ain't saying I see. I'm doomed. I won't even type in the chat, so I'll be having no sus. Stupid. Nah. I'm stupid, bro. Come on. This ain't fair. AMG weird. Nope, I just downloaded APK. It is what it is. Nope. How you got that all the way? Die. You can't. I know. It's a self-report. It is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, I want to get a lookout like you. Oh, heck no. Give me that.
He's so mad. Why are you so mad at me? Why are you so mad at me? Why are you mad at me?
You think I would care about why I'm mad? If I'm mad, I'm mad, alright?
Why are you so mad?
I'm bad. I'm cremated. Am I? Yeah, yeah.
Hello?
That was just rude. That was just rude of you. Serenity. You. I'm gonna watch the cams. And I'm trying to be in the most sus right now. If red doesn't come out, then it's red. Because it's the dead body. Come out. Corn and cheese? Stand up. Stand up. You live? Yes, right there.
Dude, you live? Wait,
Yes.
can they hear you?
Yes.
Stop! Stop!
Okay.
Stop it!
I can't stop something I'm trying to do.
I don't want to.
Why are you gonna be finished? Hey, go to camp. Go to camp.
Why you can't do it without a phone? yellow because, you scare me. I think it's red now.
Let's get the test back. You gotta use the test back. So wait, what's the test back? What's taking you so long? What took you so long? What took you so long, man? Wait, how is that possible? I don't see you on the camera. Yeah, ghost, you can't see it even when the ghost is there. You can never see it. Even if the ghost is there. She wasn't there at first. She was all the way over here. Sitting over here. Being weird. Right now, you looking up right now. If you can spell illusions in it, I'm sorry, but I not help you because when a teacher can't pronounce your name, don't worry about it. I told you. You said yellow or red.
Red was close to her, but red left. Shut up! Try not to say what. What?
I'm sorry. It is white. Thank you. Leave it alone. How dare you try my head?
What?
Thank you. Vote white, you idiots. Anyway, let's go to illusions. Well, you must be tripping. So guys, let's watch some illusions and then try to stare at it for as long as you can. And then look around anyway.
Today we're going to show you some optical illusions with interesting effects. We just warn you right away that your body's reaction to the images...
Mine guys, long time since I went live stream.
Interesting effects. We just warn you right away that your body's reaction to the images...
Mine guys, long time since I went live. It is not a dog, actually.
They say seeing is believing, or not. Get ready for 11 optical illusions that will trick your eyes. Those who create optical illusions use combinations of colors, lights, or particular patterns that can really trick the brain. So get ready to check your visual perception with this fun challenge. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to join us on the bright side of life. The first one is creepy. This is a famous drawing created in 1892 by Charles Allen Gilbert called All is Vanity. And depending on what you see first, it can come off as a little creepy. Most people who look at it don't even realize that the drawing is much more than it seems. Have you noticed anything unusual about this picture? You have 10 seconds to figure it out.
And it's actually a mirror, and then it's just a dresser with like some makeup products, I guess. That's all. And it just
Those who look at the drawing notice either a woman sitting in front of the vanity mirror or a spooky-looking skull. If you've managed to spot both of them right away, congratulations.
Yes,
Your visual perception is pretty impressive. All right, here are hidden faces. Here's another challenging image where you have to find something that's hidden right in plain sight. Now, at first glance, it might look way too easy. After all, everybody can clearly see at least 4 faces in the tree branches. But like any optical illusion, there's a catch. See how many more faces you can spot in the next 10 seconds.
And then one right there. That's all. That was easy. Why was it so easy, bro? What are you seeing? Faces! Faces.
If you found 10 faces hidden among the branches, then you're an extremely observant individual. Some say that these faces are actually those of famous public figures. Can you recognize anybody? Share your ideas in the comments below.
That's a face.
A fair lady. This gorgeous lady must be a ballerina. Otherwise, how does she keep rotating like that with that much grace? Like on her toes? But we're not here to discuss her artistic skills. Instead, can you tell if she is moving in one or two directions? So, what do you think? Left, right, both? The correct answer is she is moving in the right direction. Cafe wall illusion.
Juggernaut's consistent, and they're a juggernaut in the industry, so you're always rolling.
Nights off, weekends off, and it just kept getting better and better.
The name of this illusion was inspired by a tiled wall of a cafe in Bristol. Like Starbucks? Nah. But I will tell you no more for now. Can you tell if the dark lines are parallel to each other or inclined? You have 10 seconds to figure it out. Again, it seemed like an easy question. The lines are so obviously inclined. It turns out that they're not. Let us blur the image quite a bit. More. Now that all the small elements are completely blurred, you can see the dark blue lines are actually parallel to each other. Well, that's not fair. This phenomenon is known as the cafe wall illusion. It was first described more than 100 years ago, but got its name only in the 1970s, when a guy named Steve Simpson noticed a similar effect on the wall of a cafe in Bristol. Little black and white bricks at the intersection of wide lines make this illusion possible. Curved elements inside the blue lines only make this effect stronger. The reason we see this distortion is that our retinal neurons and neurons in the visual cortex work together in quite a peculiar way. Number 5. The impossible triangle. Meet the impossible triangle. But wait, what makes it so impossible, you say? You have 10 seconds to figure it out before you hear the explanation. The impossible triangle, known as Penrose triangle, is so called because it can never exist in reality. If it did exist, it would be absolutely contrary to the rules of Euclidean geometry. What is so wrong with this figure? Well, if you follow the ball sliding on the surface of the triangle from the top point, you will see that the left side is extending away and the right side is leaning towards you. However, they both seem to be on the same plane. Only an optical illusion makes it seemingly possible to the human eye. Now, number 6, bicycle. Okay, this one seems pretty plain. There is a bicycle and it's moving. Still, there is something wrong here, something mysterious. Can you figure out what the trick is? You have 10 seconds to do so. What makes the bicycle move? Obviously, the fact that the spokes in its wheels are rotating. Nah, it can't be that easy when it comes to optical illusions. In fact, the spokes remain in place, and the colors that fill the wheels, those 50 shades of gray, that keeps changing. This illusory motion effect is created thanks to small, quick eye movements. Scientists are still working on figuring out how this phenomenon works to understand the perception of motion better.
Boris Theory, let's turn it up. Boris Theory, all that together.
Now I present to you Rubik's Cube.
Oh, that's easy. You can easily solve it.
What are these red and green and white lines all about? It looks like something familiar, but what exactly is it? If you need more time, just pause the video. Cylindrical mirror to get the right answer. It's a Rubik's Cube. This optical illusion is based on anamorphosis. Hey, I remember anamorphosis. She used to live down the street. Actually, it's a form of perspective. The idea of it is to transform images so distorted it is almost impossible to guess what they are into something that makes sense using a cylindrical mirror. And it only makes sense if you do it from one special point, so only one person can see it at a time. It would be a great way to send hidden messages. It turns out this technique is not a 21st century 3D era invention. It actually dates back to late Renaissance, which was in the 16th century. Chessboard. You can't play any chess with this board because it's moving all over the place. Or is it? You have 10 seconds to do so, and please try not to get hypnotized. As hard as it is to believe, the eyes actually remain where they were. You can see it if you focus on just one of them. If you stare at one point and ignore the constant movement of black and white dots, it all becomes clear. And dots away, huh? Counting down from number 9, upside down Steve Buscemi. Can you tell me what's wrong with Steve Buscemi? I mean, I hope Steve is perfectly fine, but can you tell me what's wrong with the second picture? These pictures look the same to me. Hit thumbs up if you think so too. Let's try to turn it upside down. Oh no, that is way too scary. It seems like my eyes tricked me again. By the way, here's another fun celebrity optical illusion. Her Herman grid illusion and scintillating grid illusion. Look at this black square crisscrossed with perpendicular white lines. The white dots situated at the intersections of the grid shift their color from white to gray and back. When you concentrate on a particular dot, you see that it's white. But as soon as your attention wanders, the dot turns gray. That's the Herman grid illusion. Amazing, isn't it? We can take this illusion one step further by positioning white dots at the intersections of gray lines, all placed on top of the black background. Look at this image attentively, and you'll notice black dots starting to pop up at the intersections of the grid. Doesn't it create a scintillating effect? Another name for this illusion is a simultaneous light contrast illusion, as you perceive the dots as white at one moment, and then, almost immediately, you see them as black. How is it going? Have you managed to spot this effect yet? If not, take your time. You can pause the video and observe this illusion for a bit longer. So why do your senses let you down by making you see gray or black instead of white? Actually, this illusion demonstrates one of the most important principles of human perception. You don't always see things for what they really are. The thing is that the retinal cells in your eyes act as light receptors. When only one receptor gets illuminated, it perceives more light than when its colleagues are also illuminated. This prevents the firing of nearby receptors. As a result, the effect only gets transmitted laterally. Let's see how it works with the Herman grid illusion. The white lines are arranged in such a way that there's more light around the intersections than along the lines themselves. Thus, the dots at the intersections are more inhibited, and you see darker spots. Are you thoroughly impressed yet? Well, the best is yet to come. Finally, consider this one. Boxes. It takes one large box and one little box and some magic to make this illusion possible. I will leave some space to your imagination here. Let's discuss it in the comments section. How is it possible for the little box to be outside, inside, and part of the large box at the same time? So, how many optical illusions did you manage to crack? Tell us in the comments below. Now, don't forget to give this video a like, share it with your friends, and click subscribe to stay on the bright side of life. First guy crazy enough to try flying in anything electric was a French dude, like 140 years ago. The main problem back then, batteries weren't exactly long-lasting or powerful. Apple, Tesla, Samsung, modern batteries last ages. Well, not really. Even the biggest electric car battery couldn't keep a plane not for long. Right now, 1 pound of airplane fuel has almost 60 times more energy than a regular battery. They would need to make the fuel tank 60 times bigger and fill it with fuel. But batteries are heavy, so you need to make the electric airplane more powerful to handle the weight. So then, you need even more batteries, which would mean more weight. So you need to make an even stronger... you get the picture. But engineers are trying to find a balance. In 1973, 2 of them put an electric engine on a glider, and it flew for 14 minutes. Not really long enough to fly anywhere, but it was still the first manned electric aircraft flight ever. A few years later, one stayed in the air for 35 minutes. Its electric engine had only 3.5 horsepower, and its battery was borrowed from a Hughes 500 helicopter. The roof of the airplane had solar panels on it, but how much charge are you going to get in 35 minutes? Things are a lot easier when you're talking about pilotless planes. Mostly they're just way lighter. No humans, no chairs, no doors, or anything. Zippo. NASA's Pathfinder fighter set a world record for an altitude of 71,000 feet. No jet engines, no fuel, just a pretty strong battery. In 1990, the Sunseeker 1 crossed the entire United States with an electric engine. It took 21 flights and 121 hours in the air. Most normal commercial planes do it in one go, and it only takes about 5 hours. After that, tech started getting way better. Time for the Solar Impulse. What a great name for a plane. The wingspan of this giant was about the same as the Airbus A380, the largest passenger aircraft in the world. But its total weight was basically the same as an SUV. They put massive wings on it and loaded them up with solar panels. This time they really did recharge the plane as it flew around. It could stay in the air for an incredibly long time and travel huge distances. As part of its round-the-world trip, it spent almost 5 days in the air and traveled over 4,000 miles between Japan and Hawaii. Aloha! Why did it take 5 days? Because that thing only goes 45 miles per hour. That's like your grandma driving on the highway. My grandma has a lead foot. And you can't just build a plane. First, you need to pass through a tough certification process. Every screw, nut, bolt, every inch of your new plane needs to be tested for safety. That takes years. So many dreamers have gone another way. They take an existing aircraft, throw away the old gas-burning engine, and switch it out for an electric one. Electric engines are much lighter and they take up less space. But those heavy batteries more than make up for it. These upgraded planes can take off, but can only fly short distances, which is amazing. Jet planes emit about 1 billion tons of CO2 a year. They're a major player in the pollution game. But half of all flights in the world are less than 500 miles long. It's one thing to get a giant plane in the air, travel from New York to Paris. But it's totally different if you only need to fly New York to D.C. or Seattle to Vancouver. They're only a few hundred miles, but they use some of the same planes. It's crazy. They literally take off, gain the right altitude, and immediately begin their descent. That's like driving to your own mailbox in a tank. Each hour in the air costs thousands and pumps a bunch of CO2 into the atmosphere. So, let's do it. Step 1, replace the fuel-munching planes with electric ones. It'll be cheaper for everyone, quieter, and cleaner. Done. Just one problem. Electric planes can only take 1 to 2 passengers at a time. That's the pilot and co-pilot. The way forward, build an electric plane from scratch. Aviation Alice. It might just be the first fully electric commercial aircraft, carrying 9 passengers and 2 crew members. It looks kind of like an overturned boat and has 3 propellers, 2 on the wings and 1 behind its V-shaped tail. As long as a school bus, as wide as a limo. Its secret? It's almost twice as light as a school bus. That helps the engines work less and means longer flights. It's made of composite materials, which is science talk for stuff that's not metal. Basically what some boats are made of. And its batteries take up 60% of its weight. They're everywhere, in the wings, tail, beak, eyes, feathers, just kidding. Alice has a max range of 650 miles. That's like LA to Vegas and back. And then back to Vegas one more time. Its cruising speed is only 275 miles per hour, much slower than fuel-powered planes. But the main advantage of Alice is money. 1 hour in the air costs the airline $2. That's way cheaper than even those tiny planes that millionaires use to fly to Cabo for the weekend. So what's aviation waiting for? Mostly it needs infrastructure. But that might not be such a big problem. There are almost 20...
Introducing our latest Wi-Fi breakthrough. Speeds faster than a gig. That means gig Wi-Fi for gaming, video chatting, and sharing your killer moves, all at the same time. Introducing Wi-Fi speed.
If someone is touching their neck, it could be an instinctive attempt to protect themselves. They're clearly feeling uncomfortable. Touching the nose is a sign someone is lying to you. They must be checking if it's growing Pinocchio style. Picking their nose means they have a booger and it's bothering them. Okay, I added that one, but it's true. Hiding hands during a conversation is like hiding something they don't want you to know. Is someone running their hands through the hair? Ooh la la, they're flirting with you and feeling really comfortable in your company. Playing with hair and holding it isn't too good though. It may be an attempt to fill an awkward pause or soothe the nerves. Picking imaginary hairs from your sweater is a displacement gesture. Someone isn't happy with what you're telling them, but they won't tell you directly because they're afraid to offend you. Drumming fingers on the desk is instinctively trying to make yourself busy with something when you're impatient or frustrated. Rubbing hands together is a positive sign. It's like saying, I hope we'll both benefit from each other. Crossing arms in the front is a way for a person to protect themselves from the rest of the world, and particularly the one they're talking to. You must have really freaked them out. If they're crossing arms behind the back, it's a totally different thing though. Anger transforms into calm, and they have nothing else to fear. If a person is giving you a glove handshake, taking your wrist in their free hand, they're showing that they are trustworthy. If someone is putting their palm on the top of your hand, they're showing you sympathy. That's if they do it instantly though. If you've been shaking hands for a while, and then they decide to put their hand on top, it's a way of showing who's the boss. Holding someone's hand from below is like telling them you're always there for them. In case a person is invading your private space and casually touching your elbow, forearm, or other body part during the handshake with a free hand, it's a sign they really need company. You decide how to react to it.
So just lying down, we're going to focus the attention on the different parts of the body, watching as they switch off for the night.
Speaking of handshakes, have you noticed how you normally do it? Let me know in the comments. So, you're talking to someone, and they suddenly lean towards you. That's a really good sign, especially if their hands are open with palms facing up. This is an instinctive attempt to connect with you. If a person is leaning away, that's just the opposite reaction. They don't want to get close and personal with you. If they're doing it while sitting, they also must be bored with the conversation and uncomfortable with you. It's a twofer. Want to get away? Are they standing up straight with shoulders proudly pulled back? This power position is a way of saying, I'm the boss. It's like taking up as much space as you can to show your significance. Slouching is the opposite. You fear to take too much space because you're uncertain about your role in this conversation. Word to the wise, stop slouching. People with good posture are better liked and more often promoted. When a group of people are laughing, each person looks at the individual he or she likes the most. After a good joke or in the middle of an interesting discussion, every person instinctively looks at the person they like the most. This is because they want to make sure that the object of their desires approves of and shares their sense of humor. So, in order to find out everything about a group of friends, get a few really good jokes ready and watch everybody like a clock. Your observations might turn out really surprising. People feel it's much easier to evaluate something if they have the original price, even if it's wrong, as kind of an anchor. It's often used by stores. For example, you wouldn't buy a blouse for $300 in your right mind. However, if you see it originally cost $1,000, you think it's a sin to miss such a great deal, even though the initial price might be invented. We tend to see our memories as small movies or video clips. Things that lie on some shelf inside our brain, safe and unalterable. But as it turns out, recollections of past events change every time they pass before our mind's eye. Their content is influenced by memory blackouts and by events that took place in the more recent past. For example, you don't have clear recollections of all the people who attended a family get-together a couple of years ago, but since your aunt never misses events of this kind, your mind eventually includes her in the memories, even if she was absent on that particular occasion. Before an important conversation, a public speech, or another event that makes you nervous, You should try to chew some gum or even eat something. A 2011 study at Tokyo Medical and Dental University concluded that the chewing motion greatly reduces feelings of anxiety. The thing is that nobody eats when they're in danger. So while you're chewing, your brain thinks it's safe to relax. It sends a signal that relieves tension and helps calm you down. You're basically tricking your own brain. The same Tokyo research explains that some ancient Mayans and Greeks who used to chew on tree resin were less tense than their peers who didn't share this habit. Oh, maybe this is where the expression, "she really chewed him out," came from. Wow, that would make her a stressed-out cannibal. Okay, maybe not. We often judge the correctness of a decision by the final result, not by the actions taken to achieve it. This effect is often used by those ads which concentrate you only on the final result. For example, on bias. So, if you're using a brand new iPhone, you cannot claim that the decision to spend all your money on it was right. How hard could it be to take $20 from an MBA student? In fact, Professor Max Bazerman proves it's easy peasy. In 2010, he first conducted an experiment at his class where he organized a simple auction. He would give a $20 bill to the student who pays the most for it. The bidding started at $1. The only rules of the auction were that bids could only go up by $1, no less, no more, and that the second best bidder would pay the whole sum of their bid to the professor. So let's say the best bid was $18. Then the second best would be $17. The one who paid $18 would receive the auction bill and win $2, while the one who bid $17 would just pay the money and receive nothing. Simple, right? Wow. At first the auction went as planned, but the stakes rose pretty fast, and soon the bids reached the nominal value of $20. A pause ensued, and then someone bid $21. Students started laughing at that, but surprisingly, the bidding didn't stop. The auction, which turned basically to farce at this point, continued until the students finally had enough. The $20 bill was sold for $204. The overall sum the professor won totaled $387. As Bazerman explained after the end of the auction, it was the typical picture for any business person. He conducted the same experiment with CEOs of major companies and still managed to sell the $20 above their face value. It all boils down to the fact that nobody wants to be the second bidder and lose money without winning anything back. So the auction continues until someone sees the fallacy and decides to stop the race. Sometimes, as you can see, it happens much too late. Let's say you're at an electronics store choosing a new SD card for your camera. You see two options before you. One has the capacity of 64 GB and costs $15. And the other has a storage space of 128 GB but costs $30. There's an equal chance of you choosing either of them. Some will prefer greater capacity, while others will go for lower price. Which one would you choose, by the way? Let me know down in the comments. Okay, and now a third option appears. This SD card has the capacity of 96 GB, which is higher than the first but lower than the second. But its price is higher than both. It's $35. This option is called a decoy, and its role is to make the pricier second SD card more favorable in the eyes of consumers. Indeed, when you look at all three options, you actually consider only the first two, because the third one is worse than either of them. Still, you now look at the 128 GB card from another angle. It's cheaper than the 96 GB one and has more storage space, making it better in all respects. The 64 GB card, though, is only cheaper than the 96 GB one, but its capacity is lower. It's kind of obvious that you would choose the best one, right? Well, marketing specialists got you there. The only reason why there's this third option on the market is to create this decoy to make you buy a more expensive product. Insidious. What are they wearing? If they look more polished, this person is probably there to impress. Is their style more casual? This could mean that they're relaxed. a sign that they feel the need for attention and like pushing boundaries. The answers to these questions are your first clues. You can figure out someone's intentions simply by observing their clothing. When someone is puffed up and a little too confident, this could mean a big ego. As for those who are a little more indecisive and deflated, they probably have a low self-esteem and a real lack of self-confidence. If a person simply holds their head high, they've got pure confidence. Pay attention to where someone's body is leaning. We usually lean toward things we like and away from things we don't. Has this person crossed their arms and legs? You gotta know this one by now. It's the defensive body language of someone who is trying to protect or distance themselves.
Have you done ballet before?
I used to be a stripper.
And the final bodily movement is to look for lip biting. Lip biting usually indicates that a person is trying to soothe themselves because they feel under pressure or awkward. It can also show romantic interest. Ooh la la. Where are their wrinkles most pronounced? If their frown lines are exaggerated, it could mean lots of worry or stress. This person has probably had a tough life or a lot of responsibility at work. Both of these factors can have a real impact on a person's character. Crow's feet usually mean a lot of smile.
I honestly don't know what it's saying. Check. Dude, I don't know what it's saying right now. Wait, hold up. Orientation is locked. Okay, do I unlock it? Hold up.
Here we go.
That's unlocked it. Justin, did he actually? I wasn't even watching, but...
Hey guys, my windshield just got broken up.
Bro, what is this thing asking? Hold up. What am I supposed to do? Rotate it back.
There's no need to be stressed. Geico makes it easy to file a claim online, on the app, or over the phone.
Come on, let's drop these... Bro.
That Thursday for NBC, you can catch Mr. Mayor dancing with company Thursday night on NBC. Look out, it is 30 degrees, only feels like about -12. The wind blowing. Buffalo is dry though, and then typical bounce in the end zone, and Lamar Jackson will take over.
Let's take a look at our next-gen stats powered by our friends at AWS. So we knew exactly what was going to happen, right? It was going to be the Ravens blitzing all the time. No, not so fast. So far in this game, it's been the Buffalo Bills who have been creating problems with their pressure defense, in particular bringing people off the slot. Taron Johnson being the number one in the performance there. Of course, that was the sack by Levi Wallace early in the game.
J.K. Dobbins is the running back. Is caught up at the 30-yard line. Marquise Brown starting the game at 7, second and short.
Even without blitzing, they've been getting some pressure on Lamar Jackson. He took another shot on that one just as he released the football.
Jackson 10-17 for 130. Back to the pistol in favorite formation. Looking for that first down and getting it.
sixth running back selected in the draft. First down.
Yeah, how about J.K. Dobbins? All he's done this year is average 6 yards per carry. Pretty remarkable. Leads all running backs. Unfortunately, there's a couple of quarterbacks out there that have a higher average than that, one of them being his quarterback.
Jackson over 1,000 yards on the ground this season. First down play here. Goes again. Pick up of a couple. Ravens over the past couple of seasons. Last 6 games. This year, regular postseason, 173 yards. Including over 400 against the Bengals. 206 rushing yards per game last year. 192 this year. Gotta go back to the mid-50s with the Bears to see numbers like that. And they didn't have a good quarterback at that particular time. As Andrews makes the catch and barrels his way into Buffalo territory, signaling his first down.
All right, there's a little RPO action, and when Matt Milano blitzed off the edge, he knew he was going to throw it right over his head. So a little bit of the pressure now blowing up in the face of the Buffalo Bills. Anytime they go in at halftime, sometimes you come out and all the players get together with the play callers and you go, hey, we can do this, we can do that. And we're seeing this on both sides of the ball now.
Gus Edwards comes in as the running back. With the third quarter, the fake in, the pass to the outside. Edwards again tries to stiff on his way past Klein. So Mark Andrews, 6'5" and 256, played his college ball at Oklahoma, where this old buddy Baker Mayfield will be in action tomorrow. Cleveland against Kansas City. Tied for the team lead in receptions, and a guy who missed a couple of weeks on the COVID list. So many of these Ravens, of course, in and out and off and on that COVID list. And they were the team actually in the crosshairs as we reached the Thanksgiving mark this season. Howard threw it, second down and 9. And down he goes to the 50-yard line. But Jerry Hughes is there. Quentin Jefferson is there as well. Third down.
Yeah, I think Quentin Jefferson really was the one that got there first, going to get the initial penetration, then Hughes is going to clean it up on the outside. But here we are again, Al. I mean, that was not a blitz. That is just straight pass rush. But whenever the Ravens are having trouble running the ball, first down plays, those are the kind of results you get.
Third down and 13. Right at the midfield stripe. Jackson dancing. Gets out of trouble. Looking for the first down. Plus 2 more yards. Lamar Jackson weaving his way out of trouble. Needed 13, got 15.
You're going to get a look at this quarters defense where they're playing 4 across. They're thinking, no way, third down and 13, he's not running now. There he goes. You know, he's just so dynamic, and professional athletes actually look slow when they're trying to catch him or they're trying to tackle him. That's the reason he was the MVP.
Won the award last year. Rodgers probably get it this year. High snap, but he's able to pull it in. And Gus Edwards picks up a yard or 2, second down.
That was the best catch of the night right there by Lamar Jackson. I mean, they've already had one bad snap. Watch this one. High and away for ball 1, but he catches it with one hand and executes like nothing happened. Looked it all the way in. Luckily turned the way that he was trying to hand it.
He could call him baseball, too, you know.
A dream of dreams.
Second down and 9. They got Des Bryant in the game at the bottom of the screen there. Wide to the left. Cowboys, second down and 9. Willie Snead gets to the 25-yard line. Aaron Johnson making the tackle there. Third down and 1 for Baltimore.
Willie Snead's been a big part of this offense, but only 4 catches in the last 3 games. Maybe he's somebody that can begin to break it, because right now what the Buffalo Bills are offering up for Lamar Jackson are some quick throws. So if he can get it out of his hands quickly to backs, to slot players, there'll be some opportunities.
Greg Roman sending has now signaled.
They're bringing blitzing linebackers right around and through Matt Milano that time, able to run around the down blocks and make the first hit in the backfield. So it has been the quickness that we talked about with Leslie Frazier's squad that has really created some opportunities to make plays in the backfield. Here we are again, though, first down.
11th play of the drive coming. 5 runs, 5 passes. Jackson goes forward and still using his speed for a gain of 9.
Now that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what's there. That has been open all night long. Now they have Willie Snead in the game, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in taking a profit, as they say. Just come out here, turn around. Here we go. Get the ball out of your hands, slow down the pass rush. That'll make them stop blitzing. There's right after the catch.
So the score was 3-3 at the half, and each team comes out with a good-looking drive. Both of those culminated in a touchdown. How will this one end? Second and inches. And it'll be first down. Dobbins to the 10-yard line.
J.K. Dobbins is an interesting mix, isn't he? He's a big, powerful guy. You saw him just run over one of the better tacklers on the Bills in Jordan Poyer. But really where he's come into play this year for John Harbaugh is his ability to occasionally bounce one out around the edge and give him an explosive run.
Averaging over 5 yards per carry. First and goal now. Just inside the 10. Drops the snap. Keeps it to the outside. He goes around the corner for gain of 2. So one snap that he was able to save, and that one he drops. Picks it up. Picks up a pair, second down and goal.
Isn't that the way, though, with quarterbacks sometimes? It's like the hard ones, he has to turn his head and look it in, and the ones that hit him right in the belly, you don't pay any attention to. You just assume you're going to catch those.
Like a receiver starting to look downfield before he looks it in. Time. Looking to his right, looking to his left. Still gets a little something out of it. 1-yard gain. On second down and goal to 9. Look out. Under pressure. He throws incomplete. Jerry Hughes in his face to force it. Third down and goal. Final minute of the quarter.
That's a killer right there because Marquise Brown was wide open on this play coming across here, but he just simply could not get the ball off Lamar Jackson. You see him stick his hand up, wide open, easy touchdown. All you have to do is be able to throw it.
Thank Jerry Hughes for that. If you're a Buffalo fan, third down and goal. Justice Hill is in the backfield flanking Jackson. Stays in the block. Jackson fires, and that will be intercepted in the end zone by Johnson. Darren Johnson. And only Jackson can stop him now. Too late to the end zone. Touchdown.
They just stole my damn computer. You watching TV?
I'm 6 years old, and I do drugs, steal, fight, gang bang, domestic violence, and I like to slap squirrels that I find in trees. Excuse me, officer. Can I help you? My name's Bon Kui Kui. I'm 17, and I like to flirt with male police officers. You're under arrest. My name is Connor. I'm 14, and I like to disrespect my mother. Fuck is my Pokemon. For almost 800 years, Disney has been dominating the world of animation. Each studio premiere opens the doors to a whole new world with many unique characters. Disney movies feature a lot of references to other movies made by the studio as well. So, there's a logical question.
Since the creation of Reddit, fans have had the opportunity to discuss their own personal theories on films to no end with total reckless abandon. While some of them are totally outlandish, there are actually some that will win. We've curated a list of our 25 favorite Pixar theories that we believe might actually be true. Join us as we sift through the best of the best. Okay, let's start off with a big one. There's a theory that every single Pixar movie is interconnected. A conspiracy theorist named John Negroni wrote a book that explains that the timeline begins with Brave. There, animals begin to take on human characteristics when the queen turns into a bear. Over the course of time, animals interbreed and are able to speak. But then, surprise, surprise, humans take advantage of that ability and learn to harness their power like Charles Manson up. By the time we see Finding Nemo, animal intelligence has grown significantly. Things take a turn in cars when mankind has destroyed the planet so much that it is uninhabitable for them. And thanks to Wall-E, life on Earth begins again. In A Bug's Life, the ant Flick is a free-thinking cleaner who just wants to help out his colony. When one of his inventions backfires and ruins the harvest, he becomes a social pariah in his exile. He is determined to right his wrong, and so decides to befriend some bigger bugs to stand up to the grasshoppers who each year take from him and his community. He believes that his new recruits will be the perfect candidates for a blood uprising. At first glance, you may not question this plot. Theorists, however, believe that the story is a metaphor for colonialism and speaks to the historical struggle of the oppressed. The grasshoppers represent the colonizers coming in and taking resources and exercising their military power on the minorities, the ants. Pixar's Up is truly one of the most devastating movies we've ever seen. It should come with a warning before that opening montage, because that first couple minutes of the movie are straight up scarring. For those of you who have seen it, you'll know that at the beginning of the film, they see a sweet couple of kids meet, grow old together, and then the woman tragically dies and leaves her husband heartbroken. Theories suggest that after Ellie passed, Carl died shortly after of a broken heart, and what the movie is his adventure in the afterlife. We hope that if this is actually true, it means he will be reunited with his sweetie and that they'll be able to spend eternity together. In Finding Nemo, there's a theory that suggests that Nemo could be a figment of Marlin's imagination. After Marlin lost his wife and his children, he entered into a period of such intense distress that he went into denial about the whole thing and fabricated the idea of one of his sons surviving to cope with the loss. What we know to be a beautiful father-son tale could actually be one big metaphor for Marlin going through the stages of grief. When Nemo gets captured by the fishing boat, he experiences anger and will stop at nothing to get him back. The last step, acceptance, happens at the end of the film when Marlin is finally able to let Nemo have independence. In Toy Story 2, we meet the character of Easy, a pitiful little penguin who is shelled and due to his broken sweetie. He tells Woody his woeful tale, that he tried to yell for help, but no one could hear him, and then alerts the toys about the upcoming yard sale. One theory about this little sad sap is that he is secretly a villain. Fans suggest that after logging multiple hours alone on the shelf, he became jealous of Woody and the gang and used the yard sale as a way to get